final in the series of Dasha Chitra. We've gone through a lot of work. We've covered many things. We've covered the different kind of dashas. We've covered what is meant by Dasha Chidra, that is the transition from one dasha, the end of a dasha, and before you move on to the next dasha. We've seen the remedy that could work. We've also seen how it could be dangerous for us. And as Vishti always gives a remedy, one of the biggest remedies that he's been giving throughout is the use of the Mrityunjay mantra, not the Mahamrityunjay, but the Mrityunjay mantra. Then we saw the different kinds of, even in the Vimshottri Dasha, we saw how it was divided into different segments. The Vimshottri Dashas could be calculated from different Nakshatra points. And finally, we saw the 5 different Vimshottri Dashas, variations. Now over to you, Vishti, on this last segment as to what we're going to cover.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So what we are going to be doing in this last segment is taking this into a very popular technique, which is called Dasha Kuta, or actually more, it's called Dasha Matching. And the term Dasha Sandhi, which is also Dasha Chidra, this Dasha Sandhi, when you start asking people about Dasha Sandhi, they know it as, matching of dashas between couples. It's like, it's ingrained. Dasha Sandhi, we're talking about matching of dashas between couples. They're not even looking at the end of dasha. They're not looking at Dasha Chidra. They're not looking at these other topics. They look at it as a matching technique.
Okay.
And so what I wanted to show is, how does it work? And does it work? All right. Will it work always? And when will it not work always? Okay. I have to show that. And so to depict that, I will just bring up the slides here. And here we are. And so we are entering marriage matching. And in this, what we have to learn is the basic principles. Now, firstly, this principle of Dasha Kuta, or marriage matching, is very popular in South India. Very, very popular. In other parts of India, I have not seen it used so much. And notice I'm calling it Dasha Kuta. But it's when the word popularly Dasha Kuta means 10 methods of matching. Okay?
Right.
But I'm not referring to 10 different methods. I'm only talking about the matching of dashas herein.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Yes. So, what the principle is, and like again, this is very popular in South India, but it is a useful method, and I'll show why. The Mahadashas of bride and groom, if you take them and compare them, and if they're Mahadashas, not Antardashas,
right,
not Pratyanta Dashas, not Sukshmanta Dashas, otherwise they will all end within, and nobody will be matching based on that, okay?
Yes.
So, if only the Mahadashas, you take them alongside each other, if either of them are ending within 1 year of each other, the couple may face injury, tragedy, or untimely death. And I have to make it so importantly pointed out, it does not apply to Antardasha.
Yeah.
Okay?
So people don't get afraid. I mean.
Yeah, it is only Mahadasha. And even then, sometimes it doesn't work, and I'll show when it doesn't happen. The principle that is given traditionally is, you check if the Mahadashas of bride and groom match up until about the age of 75. After that, we don't care if they match. They're allowed to die then. After 75, they say, now we don't care. All right? I'm sure at one point it was up until 60, then they didn't care. All right? Depending on what was the general longevity of the place. Right. So up until a certain age, we don't prefer them to match within a year. Okay? And after that, we don't care. It's fine. They have to leave this planet one day. So now that is the general statement. Now, obviously, as astrologers, we say, but we're also interested if they match even afterwards, because somebody asks you at the age of 60 or 70 or 75, hey, how are we going to be together? You still want to know what's happening, right? Okay.
Yes.
So this is Apamrityu, and like we've been dealing with so far, but this is Apamrityu between couples. Okay, and that's why it becomes useful for matching. You don't want to, let's say, the couple married for 3 years and then suddenly, boom, one of them goes. That would be miserable. In fact, they will complain to the astrologer, why didn't you catch it, even if it happens after 20 years of marriage? Then they'll also complain, why didn't the astrologer see this in the matching? Okay, so you want to be sure that you are protecting people from this issue. I find it unfortunate that the educated means of using this is simply that if they match, then the two people should not marry. Okay.
Okay.
And this is what the marketplace is doing. If just they match, out. I'm sorry, you do not match. Okay. And then I'm going to show why this is why it's wrong to think like that, and what should be done to bring the level of astrology a bit higher in using this principle. Okay. And like it says here, it causes untimely events which arise from poor lifestyle habits or bad karma performed, can be prevented and averted through remedies, like we've been doing throughout this time. All right?
Right.
Traditionally, only Vimshottri is used for this. When I say traditionally, which tradition has said that?
Your tradition, the tradition that you...
No, my tradition does not say this. When I say traditionally, it means traditionally, most people who do this matching nowadays only use Vimshottri.
Right.
Our tradition will not do this. Okay? We will say we have to use the specific Vimshottri, not just Janma Vimshottri, the specific one. So if I say Vimshottri, I will say, yes, Janma Vimshottri. But I'm saying the specific. Is it Kshema? Is it Adana? Is it Atmakaraka? Okay? Is it Utpana? Which one? Okay, and I'll prove this. Very popularly used in South India, using only Janma Vimshottri from the moon. Is this right? I don't think so. Which version of Vimshottri should be applied? Janma, Kshema, Utpana, or Adana? Or maybe we should take all of them. We'll have 6, 3 on one side, 3 on the other side, plus Janma. We have 4 on each side, 8. We won't do that either. Okay? No. You'll surely find a problem. Nobody will match. Okay.
Right.
So let us see some examples of this. So these charts I am now depicting are those of the Roosevelts. Right. Eleanor Roosevelt and her spouse, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Delano Roosevelt. These are the Vimshottris started from the moon. Okay. They do not seem to have any overlap. We will say congratulations. Astrologer says you match, send them off, you are fine. Okay. Maybe they'll say no. They're both having moon over here. That could be a problem. But then they'll say different nakshatras, no problem. Okay. Raju matching is fine. All right. Something like that will happen. So then I say, well, I think I'll find a problem. I think I'll find it. Okay. Let me try. So I will go to the next slide. And now I have drawn, you see, for Eleanor, her moon is in the 8th house. So right. I drew her Adana Vimshottri.
Right.
And for Franklin, his moon is in the 11th house. So I have drawn Utpana Vimshottri. All right.
Right.
And I've seen that in 1921, their dashas are matching within a year. And I said, oh, what is this? What problem is this? What could it be? And so, and what happened is in 1921, Franklin wakes up, sits up, pushes his legs out of bed and realizes his legs are not moving. He was paralyzed from the waist down with polio. Okay. Now, if the astrologer didn't catch that in the matching, obviously they used very different astrologers in the US at that time, if any. And we see here that we would not have caught that had we not used the specific individual Vimshottri Dasha for their charts. We would not have caught it otherwise.
For those who do not know what we are talking about or understand this, please refer to the video one before this video, because therein Vishti has very clearly taught us how to find out which dasha of the 5 dasha specifically one has to work with.
Which one to choose? That's right. And I've shown here that when you use the ones which fit the chart and you see a matching of dashas, then you can predict when there will be a problem. Okay? You can predict when.
Yes.
Now, not in our most recent session, but in the one before that.
Yes.
I think the first one, I'm sorry. I depicted that it's possible that we can figure out where the problem is arising from figuring out which dasha came first or ended first, my mistake.
Right.
Okay? So if we look at these two, Eleanor Roosevelt and Franklin Roosevelt, we see that for Eleanor, her dasha ends in December 21.
Yes.
Franklin's ends in March 21.
Right.
Can we say now Franklin is the one who will have the problem?
Yes.
It was. He is the one who woke up with polio one day.
Yeah.
Okay?
Reason being, now the reason.
Now the reason, yes. Now we know why he got it. And then the next step. He admitted and claimed that his polio had come as a result of his infidelity towards his wife. He said, the bad karma which has affected me is because of my infidelity. And that is why I'm afflicted. He was a God-fearing person, all right? He had begun an affair with his wife's secretary 7 years before this happened.
Yeah.
And then finally one day he wakes up with polio, and then he is suffering from this. So he said, this is my own wrongdoing. I admit my fault. It is because I had done this wrongdoing in my life. Okay? Now, maybe we could look at the chart and see why that is. All right? Yes?
Yes.
So let us try and go one step further and figure this out. So let's see the next slide. This is Eleanor Roosevelt and her individual Vimshottri. And which one? Adana Vimshottri. Okay? Now notice the careful way that we are analyzing this. I said the dasha is ending. Yes?
Yes.
We have all been examining ending dashas. And in our very first session, I explained that when you are seeing the dasha ending, you see the last antadasha and look at the result that is coming as a result of that.
Yes.
And with that, you can even depict whether it's a bad or good antadasha.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Now, she was ending Guru Dasha, which means we have to look at Rahu Antadasha.
Right.
If I look from Guru to Rahu, I see it's in second from. Remember we talked about second and seventh is Maraka?
Maraka.
So
Maraka.
she is going to experience some Maraka situation. All right? All right. Now, then we look at this. It was Rahu, which is the culprit in this case, and Rahu is in Virgo. All right?
Yes.
And Rahu over here in Virgo happens to be joined the Sun and Mercury.
Yes.
Now, Mercury in particular is the 8th Lord. Now, 8th Lord is Mangalya Sthana, and
Yes.
the one who is supportive of Mangalya for a woman in her life, in
Yes.
marriage.
Yes.
And so we notice that most likely the problem that is arising is that she's seeing a problem in her marriage.
Yes.
Okay? There is a problem in her marriage. So although she is seeing a setback, the setback may be not coming to her, but to her spouse.
Yes.
Right? Maybe the spouse is the one suffering, not her. It could be.
Yes.
There's a careful note in this that I've made. Generally, if you see in a chart that the 9th Lord is having a link to the 8th house, you see 9th Lord moon in 8th, then the husband's or spouses, I'm supposed to say, the spouse's longevity is suffering.
Yes.
Okay? And this is exactly what happened in the dasha. All right? Now, you see this in being in the 11th house?
Yes.
It could be a friend of hers, which is the cause of the trouble. Maybe that's the reason. Yeah, could be that. All right. Let us try and see the Franklin's chart. Okay.
And Sun is also there. So Sun it also denotes work. So friend and work and also.
Yes, especially in this chart, as Sun is the 10th Lord here. That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay. Now, back to the Roosevelts, Franklin Roosevelt distinctly. Now, for him, so his dasha was ending at the same time, and that's why we caught it. Yeah. And we see that the Mahadasha was the moon, and the Antadasha ending is the sun. Okay. So let's see moon and sun. So look at the moon here. It is in Gemini. He's the Mahadasha. And just like in the first session we had, we compare Mahadasha and Antadasha to see how bad the dasha ending is. We see the Antadasha is an 8th from the Mahadasha. So what's happening here? We call this Bhiti Dasha, right? Remember? Bhiti, there is fear, there is suffering. Because 6th day, 12th is like Bhiti, fear, worry, great scare. I usually tell my clients, there's a big scare coming. We have to do mantra. All right? So this is the 8th house problem. And now let us see what is this 8th house problem he's having. Now, this is only 8 from the Mahadasha. Let's see this from Lagna to see what the real issue is, right?
Yes.
So from Lagna, I see this is 6th house. 6th house is Ripu, weakness.
Yes.
If the sun is in the 6th house, the person is having many vices in matters of sexuality. Okay?
Conjoined Venus, so that makes it all the more grave.
Particularly sexuality, yes. Particularly because of Venus. But the sun alone in the 6th will cause this a cause of vice and sexuality. It will be there. Okay? Usually people say, sun in the 6th. Oh, chivalrous, brave, courageous person. How are they chivalrous? Every woman they want to conquer. All right? That is their chivalrousness. All right? So now we see here that Venus is also there. So it is adding to that we know specifically it is related to a vice in matters of sexual matters. Okay?
Right.
And therefore we are clear on that this is the problem that he's experiencing. Gosh.
In fact, on this chart, I can also tell you one thing, because I also had worked on Roosevelt's chart. So Roosevelt, not only one long-standing affair was with Eleanor's secretary, and he also had multiple relationships over a period of time. So,
and he kept the secretary also.
Yeah.
Even after he admitted his fault.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
A careful note. The 9th house from the Lagna or moon, according to Gemini, can afflict the legs. Because we're talking about paralysis. It's not just the feet. Parashara, when he talks about the legs, he says feet are in the 12th, then you have shins in the 11th, then you have knees in the 10th, then you have thighs in the 9th. And then Gemini says, but if the 9th and the thighs are afflicted, then forget the rest of the body, rest of the legs. Okay? See Gemini's logic? Yeah. So then, in that realm, we would say, okay, careful note, if the 9th lord is afflicted from Lagna or moon, there'll be a problem with the movement of the legs. Okay? Even the sensitivity, what we call there's paralysis if the 9th house is afflicted. So we see here the 9th house is having Mercury, not bad, but the Lord is either Rahu in Ayush debility, yes, or Shani in Nicha debility, and this Shani is also 9th from Lagna. Okay?
Right.
Yes. But we only need one of them. We don't need both. Either 9th from moon or 9th from Lagna. If 9th from Lagna, it's usually from an early age. From birth, for example, issues with legs from birth. But from moon, it's something that is issue with time. Like the maintenance of the body is a problem.
Yeah, so that's just going to say that Lagna is very beautifully, as you have said, it's genetics, moon maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the note I would add, okay, to know that this is the problem he'd face. And then we know that the Chidra is because of bad karma in relationships. Okay?
Right.
All right. So now that is said, now we can take the next step and see some more examples. All right? Because now we know all the steps. Finding the right dasha. And that we need to choose the right dasha. So if somebody has not found the right dasha yet, they have to see the previous session we've had. And then they will know how to find that right dasha. And then use that to match. And then when they use that to match, then everything is going to be fitting. Okay? And how easily we depicted it and what is the problem and how it was manifesting in the individual chart to that extent of being sure that it was Franklin's problem and not Eleanor's problem. Okay? But I admit that's part of my research. All right? I'm not 100% on that. That part on choosing, the one which happens before is the one who's suffering. Okay? The one who ends before is the one who's suffering. That's still research on my part. So I'd admit, if it doesn't work in a chart, I like to see it. I want to test this more. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Let's see another example. So I took the Clintons. All right? Now, when we did our first session, okay?
Yeah.
Those people I chose had Moon and Kendra or Kona from the Lagna.
Right.
So when I was examining their Dasha Chidra, I was being very cheeky, right?
Yeah.
So it was easy because I could use regular Janma Vimshottri for them.
Yes.
But as soon as I saw Eleanor and Franklin, I said, oh no, I have to teach them the variations of Dasha. Okay? Otherwise, Eleanor and Franklin, you will never get. But if I had showed you Hillary and Bill, you would be none the wiser and you would be doing like everybody else, matching Janma Vimshottri from Moon.
Yeah.
Right? Because she has Moon in Kendra, he has Moon in Kendra, regular Moon's Vimshottri from Janma Tara will work. Right? And so we see here in 2006, Hillary's ends in November. And in 2007, March, Bill's ends. Okay? So for both of them, it's ending. And so there's a problem because it's within a year.
Right.
All right? And I already did Bill's example in the first session we had.
Yes.
So I knew he had a problem. That was easy for me to see. But notice here now, we also, when we do the ending here, Hillary's is ending in November, which is before Bill's in March.
Right.
Okay, this was November 2006. This is March 2007, the year after. I mean, not the year after. Next, the following year.
Yes.
So we do know that there is an issue going on here. Okay.
Yep.
Now, if I compare them, so at this stage, if somebody knows, they could easily know, oh, the last dasha, this beginning dasha of Sun is actually the end of Venus. So Venus is the focal point, right?
Right.
So I'll put my finger on Venus here. And then I'll say, who's the last Antardasha of Venus? It is Ketu.
Ketu.
So if we take Ketu, then it will be Venus Dasha, Ketu, Antardasha. So we had, in our first session, I showed a whole list, who's the last Antardasha of every Mahadasha. Okay?
Yeah.
And
that
so...
was the first session when you told us as to...
Exactly. In our first session.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the time period.
Exactly.
Around.
The length of each Antardasha.
Yeah.
And so Venus Mahadasha, Ketu Antardasha, this is a Maraka.
Yes.
So we know it's a problematic time. It's definitely problematic. Like we're not in doubt. This is problematic.
Right.
Okay. This is, we're clear on that.
Yeah.
And so we know a problem is coming. We look at Ketu to get a better idea. And we see here, Ketu is in the 6th house. So something which is going to go on in the health for sure for her, definitely.
Yes.
But 7th Lord is also involved and is Jupiter. So husband will also have a health problem. So she and the husband could both have health problems.
Yes.
Okay, both of them. Specifically for her, she starts to take blood thinners to avoid blood clotting.
Okay.
She has an issue with repeated clotting in her body.
Okay.
And close to this period of time, she had a clot in her brain. Okay. In fact, this exact period of time, she returned home from a lot of traveling. Venus, right? Traveling.
Yes.
You know, end of Venus Dasha. Lots of traveling. She had a disease, an infection. And then shortly after, she fell, had a concussion. And then after that, she started to have a blood clot in her brain because of the concussion.
Okay.
Okay. Imagine that. What's going on here? A lot of blood issues.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Now for Bill, he was not supposed to suffer from this, right? Because his dasha ended later. But let's look. It was Jupiter dasha. Who's the last dasha of Jupiter? Rahu Antardasha. All right.
Yes.
And we already went through his chart and said, oh, Jupiter to Rahu is 8.
Yes.
Dangerous. Okay. Very Bhiti, yes, dangerous, scary. And then we see here in his chart, Rahu is also the 8th lord. So there's also illness involved. But maybe it's also to his spouse.
Yes.
8th lord is Mangalya Sthana. Or again,
Right.
Kumbha can be lorded by Rahu, Mangalya Sthana.
Yes.
Right? So it's again focusing on his spouse more.
Yes.
More focus on the spouse, less on him. All right?
Yes. Yes.
And so we can depict that in the chart. He had problems. He had his own dasha chidra. And there is a dosha here between them. But we also see it's affecting spouse also.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that is how we have now taken 2 couples and examined them and seen that in one, it's working. It doesn't work with Janma Vimshottri, and we had to use the individual one. And then we took another couple where it was easy. Yes. Janma Vimshottri, and it works. Okay. Now, I can show one more chart in this regard. The Reagans. How can I not do the Reagans charts? You know, so popular within politics to take these three examples: Roosevelt's, Reagan's, and Clinton's. Okay?
Yes.
Now, watch this. His moon, is this Ronald? Yes, Ronald is on top this time.
Yes.
His moon is in the 5th house.
Right.
Okay? And her moon is in the 11th house.
Yes.
So for him, Kendra Kona, regular Janma Vimshottri.
Right.
Here we go. For her, moon is in 11th house. I should use Utpana. I will say, although it's not depicted here, I even use Janma for her, just to be sure. So I'll say I have done that part.
Okay.
Just to rule out that, just so that nobody questions my expertise. I did check, but I didn't show because I wanted to be sure the South Indian chart had also space on the screen. Okay. And then you will see here, from about the year 1919, almost all their dashas are matching after that. See? 1919, 1919,
Yes.
1925, 25, 35,
Yes.
35, 42, 42,
And the same
66.
dasha. Yes, the dashas are the same, so they all.
Everything is matching.
Yes.
Okay. And now the astrologer is supposed to say, I'm sorry, you don't match. They lived long. He died 93.
Yes.
Okay. 93 is when he died. He became president. Can you tell her, don't marry the president? You'll be first lady if you marry him.
Yes.
What is the reason? So the astrologer in the village needs a reason, because otherwise he'll sit and say, I have learned Dasha Sandhi and I should not use it anymore. What are you telling me? I've learned it from my guru. What do I do? Okay. What do I do? Otherwise, one major system of matching, which I did prove works, is now thrown out of the window with this chart where everything is matching year from the age of 1990, when he was 8. They married, fortunately, not that at 8, but after some time they'll marry and it's still matching all that.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, his assassination, the attempted assassination of Reagan does not show this. No Dasha Chidra at that time. Okay? His problems health-wise do not show up in this chart. His Alzheimer's does not show up in the matching. Okay? Not clearly from this matching. All right? I will share. Now, what is the reason? Have you noticed that he and her both have Kala Sarpa Yoga?
Yes. Yes.
Both of them Kala Sarpa Yoga. All the grahas are in between. Somebody will say, but Bisti, maybe Moon or Saturn is outside Rahu's or grasp, or Jupiter outside Rahu's grasp. No. Tradition says, forget the degrees. If they're in the same sign, they're still within the trap of the Sarpa. Okay? Yeah, okay. You're in the house of the Naga, you're going to feel it.
Yeah. All
right? You will feel it.
Loud and clear.
Now, but what I have to depict is this. If Kala Sarpa or Kala Amrita Yoga is there, the regular options for the moon's Vimshottri will not work. Not clearly. Okay? There's an exception. There is an exception. And that is if Moon or Jupiter joins the Lagna or the 7th house or Rahu or Ketu, then the Janma, the Udu Dashas, the Vimshottri Dashas from Moon will still work.
Okay.
Okay? But in Nancy's case, I'm sorry, that is not the case. So for her, this moon has become defunct in the chart. It is not working.
Okay.
It's not functioning. This is because, and this should have been the first lesson on Dasha. I'm going to end on this point as we start moving toward the end of the session. When we are reading Dasha, the importance of Dasha is we are trying to depict Kala.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
Kala began with time, obviously, time is Kala. It began because of Shiva and Shakti beginning the creation. When we say Shiva and Shakti began the creation, what is beginning from there is time.
Yes.
Okay? It is not, oh, now the universe is starting. No, 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 no. Time is beginning with Shiva and Shakti. If you want to go through the cosmology, then we say the creation as a physical creation only starts when Brahma starts creating the actual lokas and everything. And he makes his children, the rishis, populate them. But time is beginning much earlier with Shiva and Shakti. Much earlier.
The cosmic dance.
Yeah, that's time. That's beginning there. In that version, in that form, Shiva is called Mahakala.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we can find Shiva in the chart. When you look, where is Shiva in the chart? We were given this blessing of Atri. Atri gave the blessing that the moon will rest on the head of Shiva. Okay? Had Atri not given that blessing, we would not know where to find Shiva in the chart.
Okay.
Because it means that wherever the moon is, that is the head of Shiva.
Okay.
The head of Mahakal. Okay?
Okay.
That is where Mahakal is now. Wherever you find your moon, Mahakal is behind that moon, sitting in this sign.
Okay.
All right?
Right.
Now, what is happening is that when we are finding these dashas and all these variations, we are just trying to find out where is Mahakal. We are trying to find Mahakal in the chart. How nice a concept, right? So
Right.
the entire search for dasha is the search for Mahakal.
And incidentally, it begins from the Mahakal because it is the moon. It begins
That is why the dashas begin from the moon, because the Mahakal is where the moon is. That is the reason. The whole concept behind it is that is where Mahakal is. And the search for Mahakal is obviously the search for Shiva. So we are searching for, and which Shiva? Is it that Shiva who walks around on the earth with Gauri, Rudra Gauri? No. This is the beginning of time. In fact, before time started. Because wherever Mahakal is also his presence before time started. Because it is Shakti which caused the spandana, the vibration which caused time to move.
Right.
But Mahakal was there even before time began.
Right.
It was the spandana in his interaction with Shakti which caused the time to move. But before the spandana, Shiva was there, still, frozen almost, you may say, like ice. As if life had not started, time had not started. Life is like this ice which has been melted off the snow caps of the mountains. That is time beginning. When it stops, it's as if the water has stopped, like it's frozen. Amazing, right?
Very, very.
And so to continue in this trend, so when we are looking for this moon in the chart, we are searching for Shiva, we are searching for Mahakal, and because this is the time before time began also in a sense, see, the spandana is just making the dasha move. That movement, that time movement is like dasha.
Right.
So what is dasha? That is the spandana of Shakti. But the graha itself who began the time, he is Mahakal. So dasha is Shakti, moon is Shiva. Okay? Step one. If you can find Mahakal in your chart, you have found out where is Om. Everybody is looking for Om because that is God. The original, first. All right? Because at that level, we are not looking at Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. There is no division. It is complete, the beginning concept of God. Some people call him Shiva. Some people call him something else. Some people call it a her. There's no gender even at that stage. All right? And the dilemma is when there's Kala Sarpa or Kala Amrita Yoga, Mahakal has gone somewhere else.
Okay, so
and therefore the moon is not having Mahakal anymore.
Right.
And Mahakal has gone to another place. I was taught Mahakal will go to the Lagna. Okay? And we will have another variation of Vimshottri called Lagna Vimshottri, which is also given in Jataka Parijata. All right? And that is the depth of the dasha that we are examining. That is the depth of what we're examining. And that is why in Nancy's chart, we cannot find anything matching properly, because for her, we should use Lagna Vimshottri. Lagna Dasha. And for Ronald, we can consider, but he has some options where we can still use the Moon's Vimshottri. All right? And that is the difference. Huh.
So, Vrishti, you just said that we all are after the Om in the chart. We need to find the Om. So, where is the Om in the chart?
But that is why we are trying to find all these dashas, right? Om could be with the moon. For most people, it's with the moon. Unless Kala Sarpa Kalamrita Yoga is there, then it's taken somewhere else. All right? It could be that the Om is with your Atmakaraka. That happens if the Lord of Moon sign is Atmakaraka. We did that in the previous session. So that search is looking for Om. It could be that there's a completely other dasha which is dominating. It happens in some people's charts. There are these other variations, Dvisaptati Samadasha or Chaturashiti Samadasha, Ashtotri, Shodashotri. That search for that right dasha to begin time from, which is dominating the chart, Om could sit there instead. And then a graha could be there. Like if person has 10th Lord and 10th house, it is possible that their Om is with Jupiter. Okay. Very specific. So there's this whole elaborate system of dashas using nakshatra dashas to find Mahakal. And right now, all I'm depicting is, with these examples, that the initial selection based on Vimshottri is very important for time. I should say, if anybody asks the question, Visti, if I have Dvisaptati Samadasha applicable in my chart, should I look for Dasha Chidra there? No. At the end, Vimshottri will decide where is the Chitra. Okay? But which Vimshottri is the question?
So we travel a full circle here, and you started with saying that the Chidra Dasha was with Vimshottri Dasha. We've traveled a full circle, covering it and saying again that no matter what you do, you said that when you began, you said that Pandit Jagannath Rath, he would use in the background Narayan Dasha, he would use as a backup for that, and he had worked on Naisargik, one form of Naisargik Dasha, and with that, he would write down Vimshottri Dasha for others. So, with everything said and done, we come back to the same point here while we conclude that it is the Naisargik, it is along with the Naisargik, we have to have a thorough knowledge about Vimshottri Dasha, keeping into views the various, the variations that you've taught us, the 5 kind of variations that you've taught us, more specifically the 4 that have been taught to us very, very explicitly in this set of interviews. Have I rounded it up wisely?
Very nicely. Very nicely. I would just like to end with a slide for those who are curious and end up, I know, catching me later to ask me questions. And if you want to learn more from me, I write emails and which I know Anu, you also read, and newsletters. So people can find them at srigaruda.com/subscribe. Please go there, subscribe, put your email down, and I promise I will share some goodies once a week on email to you. Anu, you have also pointed out my courses earlier in this session, and they are found at www.rama-edu.com. So if you want to learn more, feel free to go there, and I will definitely share. Okay? Yes.
So
and
before we
stop the share
wind
now,
this session up, Vishti, could you just give us a few lines about the different courses that you have available for people?
Right now I have 4 different types of courses with about 12 different lessons each in total. And what I have been teaching for the last many years is initially I spent a year teaching the Rashis. As you may have gone through some of the Rashis, I don't just talk about this sign is this and that sign is that, but showing, for example, how the different parts of Taurus depict different limbs of Taurus, and where, if the graha is a different result, for example, all right, or in the sign Virgo, and I've tried to do so with all the sun signs. And underlying principles of how to analyze the chart with that. Then I have also spoken on 12 lessons of Adityas, which I know you're most fond of, Anu.
Yes.
In which I move away from the sun sign and its zodiacal symbol into the Devata, which is the Aditya of the sign. and explain how this gives a complete theme of life based on where your Lagna is or where your Sun is. And even your Aruda Lagna I've depicted as well. And how this changes the theme of life based on that, and why we are not just keeping it as a sun sign, but also going that one level up and saying, this is an Aditya, where we're moving into the actual Vedic concepts behind the zodiac. And then I've spoken on, I spent a year on a topic called what I have depicted as rare Jyotish tools, where I took various principles from different classics, which we have also been taught in our tradition, and shown how they're used for reading charts. Finally, I have 24 lessons in over a year's time that I had made them, which are on the topic of health and different health and diseases and illnesses, and how to read diseases in the chart, which I very much recommend for anybody interested in medical Jyotish. Okay?
Yeah.
Those are the ones. And in the future, I'll be giving a few different lessons and webinars. I should say more appropriately, I've been told to call them workshops by my better half. Where, for example, I made a 2-day workshop on Tithi, and I have presented that on my website.
Yes,
and,
I had that also, and it's beautiful. In spite of teaching
thank you for that.
like that, there's so much that I came to know from there. It was beautiful.
Glad to hear. And we have more courses like that coming up in the future. So go to rama-edu.com and you'll find some more. And if you have any suggestions, feel free, because well, as you can probably see from me, I love doing this. It's I do it every day. I'm talking to clients every day, and I love teaching as well. So if anybody has suggestions, feel free. And if the Gochara fits, then I will certainly ping up the topic.
Beautiful. On that, Vishti, I'm sure many of them would like to go over there, because there's so much information, and it's wonderful listening, because not just on a particular topic. Having learned, taken a few lessons, I can just say that it's not just on a particular topic. There are many things that do crop up in between, and they add flavor, and they give you an extra information on that.
Absolutely. All the lessons were made with my students, and they asked questions, and so you have to answer. You can't get away with much, as I couldn't in this session. So a few things you caught me and asked me, and so I've brought some things to fore which may not always be part of the topic, but help the topic move further. That's right.
So I was just listening to one of the lectures when I came to know very, very funnily that a person turned blind. And then somebody asked you why, and then you said, "Oh, for your students, please decipher." And I came to know that Venus, though helps a planet second from itself, but is very anti a planet or a sign which is in 12th from itself. That's a very
exactly, yeah. Yes. So we have these small ways of depicting. Like you have 12 houses from the Lagna. You can have 12 houses from the Graha, but the 12 houses from the Graha, they're not necessarily the same as from the Lagna, right?
Yes.
Because we don't like 6th, 8th, and 12th from Lagna. But the Graha, like Venus, he doesn't like the 4th from him, 12th from him, 6th from him. Okay? He's not doesn't mind about the 8th so much. All right? Jupiter, he also doesn't like the 6th from him, but he also does not like the 3rd. Okay?
Yes.
So like that, each of the grahas are slightly different.
So these small bits which you would not find in any book, for sure. Gone through a limited, but some books I have never found these points anywhere. So I seriously recommend you to look into Vishti's.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Vishti. Thank you so much for the series.
Thank you for having me.